Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people never give a second glance to a 1986 Jefferson Nickel because it looks just like countless other 5-cent coins that pass through cash registers every single day. But what if one of those ordinary-looking nickels carried a hidden story that could completely change the life of the person lucky enough to find it? Stay with me because today's journey uncovers the mysterious 1986 5-cent coin that some collectors believe could reach an astonishing $59 million under the most extraordinary circumstances, and before this video ends, I'll also reveal two more unbelievable coins that collectors dream of finding, each hiding even more surprising secrets that you definitely won't want to miss. Imagine opening an old coin jar from your grandparents, digging through a forgotten piggy bank, or checking the loose change sitting in your car's cup holder, only to discover that an ordinary 1986 Jefferson Nickel might actually be one of the rarest collectible treasures ever discussed among passionate numismatists. While a figure of $59 million represents an extraordinary hypothetical top-end collector scenario rather than the typical market price, the possibility of discovering an exceptionally rare example with remarkable characteristics is exactly what keeps collectors searching through rolls of nickels every single day. That excitement is what makes coin collecting one of the most fascinating hobbies in the world, because every coin tells a story, and every story has the chance to surprise us. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions upon millions of Jefferson Nickels during 1986, making them seem incredibly common at first glance. Since Philadelphia coins during that period generally carried no mint mark, many people never realized that identifying a 1986 issue requires knowing its production history rather than simply looking for a letter above Monticello. This coin features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, while the reverse proudly displays his historic home, Monticello, a design that had become one of America's most recognizable coin images. Millions entered circulation immediately, buying groceries, paying for newspapers, vending machine snacks, arcade games, bus rides, and countless everyday purchases. Yet history has repeatedly shown that rarity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes rarity develops because only a handful survive in exceptional condition, while other times unusual minting mistakes transform an ordinary coin into something collectors chase for decades. This is where the mystery surrounding certain 1986 nickels begins to grow. Imagine a mint employee adjusting a press ever so slightly, a die developing microscopic damage after thousands of strikes, or a planchet entering production with an unnoticed defect. Tiny differences invisible to most people could suddenly create varieties that experienced collectors recognize immediately. Some enthusiasts speculate about dramatic doubled lettering visible under magnification, while others search endlessly for die cracks stretching across Jefferson's portrait, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, dramatic die breaks, misplaced punches from machinery adjustments, rotated dies, partial collar strikes, or exceptionally strong full-step examples showing remarkable detail on Monticello. Every unusual characteristic becomes another reason for collectors to inspect every nickel carefully instead of spending it without a second thought. And here's something that makes this hunt even more exciting: the overwhelming majority of people never examine their nickels closely. They receive change, drop it into a jar, spend it the next day, or forget about it entirely. That means valuable discoveries can remain hidden for years simply because nobody looked carefully enough. Think about how many nickels have passed through your hands since childhood. Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe even tens of thousands. What if one deserved a much closer inspection? Don't go anywhere because later in this series we're diving into two more astonishing 5-cent coins that have collectors talking for completely different reasons, and their stories become even more unbelievable. Now let's continue exploring why condition plays such a massive role in determining collector demand. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on preservation, strike quality, luster, eye appeal, and surface marks. A circulated coin showing heavy wear naturally commands less attention than one preserved almost perfectly since leaving the mint. Occasionally, collectors discover original bank-wrapped rolls that remained unopened for decades, allowing coins inside to retain incredible brilliance. When such pieces display sharp details and nearly flawless surfaces, competition among collectors can become intense. Add a rare mint error or an unusual die variety to that equation, and suddenly an ordinary 5-cent coin transforms into something discussed at coin shows, online forums, and collector gatherings across the country. Stories spread quickly whenever someone uncovers an unexpected rarity hiding in pocket change. Whether every tale proves accurate or not, they inspire thousands of new collectors to begin searching through their own collections. Imagine the excitement of spotting something unusual beneath a magnifying glass, comparing it with reference photographs, and realizing your coin may not match the standard design after all. That moment of discovery is priceless, regardless of the eventual value. Many experienced numismatists recommend examining Jefferson's hair details, the lettering around the rim, Monticello's architectural lines, and especially the famous steps leading to the building. Full, uninterrupted step details often attract additional collector interest because they indicate an exceptionally sharp strike. While not every well-struck coin becomes extraordinarily valuable, superior quality always increases desirability among serious collectors. Another fascinating aspect involves the journey each coin experiences after leaving the mint. Some spent decades circulating through thousands of hands, accumulating scratches, nicks, and wear. Others somehow remained tucked away inside drawers, coin albums, forgotten envelopes, or inherited collections, escaping everyday use almost entirely. Every scratch tells part of the coin's story, yet every untouched surface whispers about careful preservation through generations. That's why collectors often describe coin collecting as holding history in the palm of your hand. Each nickel connects us with the people who used it, saved it, misplaced it, and finally rediscovered it years later. Imagine if your family's oldest coin jar contains one that has remained untouched since the late 1980s. It could have been sitting quietly while the world changed around it, waiting patiently for someone curious enough to examine every detail. Before we continue, tell me in the comments whether you've ever searched through a jar of old coins or found anything unusual in your pocket change, because your story might inspire another collector to start looking today. And remember, don't skip ahead because the next coin in this series has a completely different mystery surrounding it, and its backstory is something very few people expect. Experienced collectors also rely on proper lighting, quality magnification, and careful handling techniques. A fingerprint left on an uncirculated coin can reduce its desirability, so many hobbyists hold coins only by their edges. They compare suspected varieties with official references, study known diagnostics, and sometimes submit promising discoveries for professional authentication. Patience becomes one of the greatest tools in coin collecting because genuine rarities rarely reveal themselves instantly. Sometimes the smallest detail separates an ordinary coin from one worthy of serious attention. That's what makes every search feel like a treasure hunt. You never truly know what you'll discover until you look. Whether the legendary $59 million scenario ever becomes reality for a specific example or remains the ultimate collector dream, the excitement it generates encourages people worldwide to learn more about American coinage, minting technology, historical production methods, and the incredible stories hidden inside everyday change. Every great discovery begins with someone deciding to take a closer look instead of assuming a common coin has no special story. So before you spend your next nickel, pause for a moment, examine it carefully, and remember that remarkable discoveries often begin with ordinary objects everyone else overlooks. And if you thought the mystery surrounding the 1986 Jefferson Nickel was unbelievable, wait until you see the next coin in this series, because its story takes an even more unexpected turn and reveals clues that collectors have been chasing for years. Next, 2010 5-cent coin. Most people spend this coin every single day without realizing it could be hiding one of the most talked about collector mysteries in modern American coin collecting. Imagine paying for a cup of coffee, receiving a handful of change, and unknowingly walking away with a 2010 Jefferson Nickel that dedicated collectors would spend years trying to locate. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary, blending in with millions of other nickels, but appearances can be incredibly deceiving. Stay with me because the deeper we dig into this fascinating 2010 5-cent coin, the more unbelievable its story becomes, and by the end of this video we'll move to the final coin in today's lineup, a coin whose mystery is even greater and whose story delivers the ultimate grand finale. While extraordinary claims about a $60 million collector value represent an exceptional hypothetical top-end scenario rather than the normal market price, stories like these continue to fuel the passion of collectors who search through rolls of nickels every week hoping to uncover something extraordinary. That dream of finding a hidden treasure in ordinary pocket change has inspired generations of coin hunters, and the 2010 Jefferson Nickel has become one of those dates that many enthusiasts refuse to ignore. Produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark, this coin entered circulation during a period when cash transactions remained a major part of everyday life. Millions were released into circulation, passing through grocery stores, restaurants, banks, vending machines, and cash registers across America. Because so many were produced, nearly everyone assumed these nickels would remain common forever. But experienced collectors know that rarity isn't always determined by mintage numbers alone. Sometimes a tiny minting anomaly, an unusual striking characteristic, or an exceptionally preserved specimen can separate one coin from millions of others. That possibility is exactly what makes searching through modern nickels so exciting. Imagine a production line operating at incredible speed inside the Denver Mint. Massive presses strike thousands of coins every hour. Dies gradually wear down. Planchets occasionally enter the presses with slight imperfections. Machinery requires constant adjustment. Under these conditions, unusual varieties can occasionally emerge, creating coins that differ from the standard design in subtle yet important ways. Collectors have long searched for dramatic doubled lettering, die cracks extending through Jefferson's portrait, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die chips, filled dies, weak strikes, rotated dies, lamination flaws, and sharply defined full steps examples showing exceptional detail on Monticello. Even the smallest variation can send experienced collectors reaching for magnifying glasses and reference books. What makes the hunt even more thrilling is that many people never inspect their change at all. They receive nickels, toss them into jars, leave them in vehicles, or spend them again without ever noticing the details. That means remarkable discoveries can remain hidden for years simply because nobody bothered to look closely. Somewhere, a forgotten piggy bank, a family coin collection, or an unopened bankroll may still contain an extraordinary 2010 nickel waiting to be recognized. Stories like these continue to inspire thousands of collectors to search through their own change, proving that the next exciting discovery could happen almost anywhere. Don't lose focus now, because after this incredible coin, we're heading into today's final mystery, and its story has become one of the most unforgettable among collectors. You definitely won't want to miss what comes next. Condition also plays an enormous role in collector demand. A heavily circulated nickel that has spent years in commerce naturally shows scratches, worn details, and dull surfaces. But occasionally a coin survives almost untouched since the day it left the mint. Those brilliant examples with strong luster, minimal contact marks, and crisp details often attract the greatest attention. Professional grading services carefully evaluate preservation, strike quality, eye appeal, and surface condition before assigning grades. Even a small improvement in grade can dramatically increase collector interest, because truly exceptional modern coins are much harder to find than most people realize. Another fascinating part of the story involves how these coins survive through time. Some remain sealed inside original bankrolls for years. Others sit forgotten inside inherited collections, desk drawers, safes, or old containers filled with loose change. Many people inherit collections without realizing what they contain, only discovering years later that certain dates deserve much closer inspection. That possibility keeps collectors motivated every time they search another roll of nickels. Every coin tells its own journey, from the minting press to countless pockets, wallets, and cash registers before finally finding its way into a collector's hands. Imagine holding a seemingly ordinary 2010 nickel while wondering where it has traveled during the past decade. Perhaps it crossed dozens of states, passed through thousands of transactions, or quietly rested inside an old collection untouched for years. Those unknown journeys add another layer of fascination to every coin. Experienced numismatists recommend examining Jefferson's portrait, the lettering around the rim, the Denver mintmark, Monticello's architectural details, and especially the famous steps beneath the building. Sharp, uninterrupted step details remain especially desirable because they reflect an outstanding strike. Under proper lighting and magnification, even tiny differences become much easier to identify. Patience is often the collector's greatest advantage, because remarkable discoveries rarely appear instantly. Many successful collectors have searched thousands of coins before finally uncovering something truly memorable. Their persistence reminds us that every ordinary-looking nickel deserves at least a quick inspection before being spent. Whether the legendary $60 million scenario ever materializes for an extraordinary specimen or simply represents the ultimate collector dream, the excitement surrounding this coin continues to encourage new generations to explore the fascinating world of American numismatics. Every search becomes an adventure, because nobody can predict which roll of coins might contain the next remarkable discovery. So before you spend another nickel, take a closer look. You might be holding something far more interesting than 5 cents. And if you think the mystery surrounding the 2010 Jefferson Nickel is incredible, wait until the final coin in today's video. The 1972 5-cent coin has a story that many collectors consider the most astonishing of them all, and its secrets make for the perfect grand finale. Next, 1972 5-cent coin. This ordinary coin hides an extraordinary secret. At first glance, The 1972 Jefferson Nickel appears no different from countless other 5-cent coins that have circulated across America for decades, yet among dedicated collectors it has earned a reputation as one of the most fascinating coins to search for because of the possibility that an exceptionally rare example could stand apart from millions of others. Imagine opening a forgotten coin album that has been sitting untouched for generations, turning one page after another, and suddenly spotting a 1972 nickel that carries characteristics unlike the rest. It sounds almost unbelievable, but stories like these are exactly what make coin collecting one of the most exciting hobbies in the world. While extraordinary discussions about a potential $70 million collector value represent an exceptional hypothetical top-end scenario rather than a typical market price, the dream of uncovering an extraordinary specimen continues to inspire collectors to search through old collections, bank rolls, inherited coin jars, estate sales, and everyday pocket change. The 1972 Jefferson Nickel was struck at the Denver Mint during a period when American coin production was operating at an incredible pace. Millions of nickels entered circulation, supporting everyday commerce throughout the country. They paid for school lunches, newspaper stands, arcade games, public telephones, parking meters, snacks, and countless ordinary purchases. Because so many were produced, most people assumed these coins would never become special. But history has repeatedly shown that rarity often develops in unexpected ways. Sometimes it begins with an unusual minting event. Other times it results from exceptional preservation, remarkable strike quality, or a unique combination of characteristics that separates one coin from every other example. That possibility has kept collectors examining 1972 nickels for decades. Picture the massive coin presses inside the Denver Mint in 1972. Steel dies repeatedly struck blank planchets with tremendous force, producing thousands of nickels every hour. Over time those dies naturally experienced wear. Small imperfections occasionally developed. Machinery required adjustments, and subtle variation sometimes appeared during production. Collectors carefully search for dramatic doubled lettering, die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, rotated dies, lamination flaws, strike-through errors, weak strikes, and exceptionally detailed full steps examples that display remarkable sharpness on Monticello. Under magnification, even the smallest difference can become the feature that transforms an ordinary-looking nickel into a coin worthy of serious collector attention. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding coin collecting is how remarkable discoveries remain hidden for so many years. Countless people receive change every day without examining a single coin. Old jars of nickels sit forgotten in closets. Family collections remain untouched inside safes. Coin albums are passed from one generation to the next without anyone realizing that one particular piece deserves closer inspection. Somewhere, perhaps inside an inherited collection or an unopened bank roll, a remarkable 1972 Jefferson Nickel may still be waiting for someone with patience, curiosity, and a magnifying glass. That thought alone has inspired countless collectors to continue searching year after year. Professional grading adds another fascinating layer to the story. A coin preserved in outstanding condition often becomes significantly more desirable than one showing years of heavy circulation. Grading specialists carefully evaluate luster, strike quality, eye appeal, preservation, and surface marks before assigning an official grade. The finest surviving examples of any date naturally attract the strongest collector interest because very few coins manage to escape decades of wear. Some fortunate individuals stored original rolls immediately after obtaining them, allowing certain coins to remain nearly untouched for more than half a century. Those beautifully preserved examples continue to excite collectors whenever they appear. Every coin also carries an invisible history. Think about the hands that may have held a 1972 nickel over the past 5 decades. It could have traveled across multiple states, passed through thousands of purchases, rested inside cash registers, remained forgotten inside dresser drawers, or survived quietly inside a family collection for generations before finally being rediscovered. That remarkable journey gives every coin a unique story beyond its face value. Experienced numismatists recommend examining Jefferson's portrait, the date, the Denver mint mark, the lettering around the rim, Monticello's architectural details, and especially the famous steps beneath the building. Strong strike quality, original surfaces, and unusual minting characteristics can all increase collector interest. Careful handling is equally important because fingerprints and scratches may affect long-term preservation. The greatest discoveries often belong to collectors who patiently inspect one coin after another, understanding that treasure rarely announces itself. Instead, it quietly waits for someone observant enough to notice the tiny details everyone else overlooked. Whether the legendary $70 million scenario ever becomes reality for an extraordinary specimen or remains one of the hobby's most exciting collector dreams, the 1972 Jefferson Nickel perfectly represents why millions of people continue searching through everyday change. Every coin has the potential to tell an incredible story, every collection holds the possibility of an unexpected surprise, and every careful examination brings another opportunity to discover something remarkable. So the next time you receive a handful of nickels, don't rush to spend them. Take a closer look, because history has shown that extraordinary discoveries often begin with the most ordinary-looking coins. Thank you for joining me on today's incredible journey through these fascinating Jefferson Nickels. If you enjoyed uncovering the mysteries behind these coins, be sure to keep exploring your collection, stay curious, and remember that the next amazing discovery could already be waiting in your pocket.